Yes. And we finally made it. We're live. We're live. We've had technical hiccup after technical hiccup. People coming, people dropping out. Life itself. Who would change it? Why would you change it? For God's sake. How you doing, everybody? Hope you're doing well in these weird and wonderful times. This is Red Pill Phil on YouTube, multi-streaming through several different platforms tonight. And that is all thanks to Katie Jane Swallow of childrenmatter.news. Thank you very much, Katie Jane. She's the woman. She is the woman. And just before we get started on anything else, this is an event that is being promoted by childrenmatter.news, i.e. Katie Jane Swallow, Uniting for the Children. It's going to be held on the 19th of September at Swinton Town Hall. And same as before, the last time I read it, the banner at the bottom is preventing me from giving you the postcode. But I'm sure Katie Jane Swallow will be more than happy to inform you as to the actual postcode. So thank you guys, all subbers, new and old. Thank you to the man, Mr. Great Brit, as well, for his little bit tonight, if he's got the spanner in his hand. And also, same again, thank you to Katie Jane. Right, tonight's show is going to be with guest Tony Bugle and maybe others, but primarily Tony Bugle from the A-Team. And we've got a few different little topics that we're going to discuss. So, turn your fan on, get your nice little glass of lemonade, and get ready.
So they're the opposite of the free press.
We did it like that, and now we do it like this. We did it like that, and now we do it like this.
They claim to fight for liberty, but they're authoritarian as they come. So they're the opposite of the free press.
We did it like that, and now we do it like this. We did it like that, and now we do it like this.
Yes, I'm loving that. Don't expect you to like that, Tony. I know it's not your kind of vibe.
I was giving it. No, I was kind of liking that.
Feeling it.
It's coffee. I've got the most eclectic taste in music you could ever imagine.
Ah, see, this is the side of the bugle that we want to tap into tonight. Maybe get a jingle out of your musical collection. How about that?
Do you know what one of my favourite songs at the moment is?
Yeah.
And it's been for a long time now because the lyrics are just so powerful. And you know, sometimes when a song is done, like redone and a remake of a song, you are never going to get a remake that's as good as the original. And this was the first time I ever heard a song and I thought, this is better than the original. And I never thought I would say this because it was, the original was Simon and Garfunkel. And it's Sound of Silence. But it's the version by Disturbed.
Yeah.
And there is just something about his delivery, his timing, and the way that it's a real powerhouse of music. And every time I hear that, I think of every single girl I've ever given support to, because the words say everything. And it really is also about what I'm about, because I've always said to you, silence is what creates victims, whether it be the silencing of the girl herself, or the child, or the silence that surrounds it from the political elite. Silence is the problem. And silence comes in many forms, whether it be political correctness or whatever guise it comes in, multiculturalism, one way or another. Our voices are constantly silenced. And I think that that's why that song, for me, every day, so every single day, when I get up, I slam it on, whack up the volume, and I'm like, yes, and it's another day to bang the bugle out there.
Right. I mean, you do. It's great that music, that's why I love music, because it evokes certain emotions. But if that tune alone can make you go to that place on so many different emotional levels, that particularly is what music's all about. I mean, let's swing it this way, when you've got the typical hip hop tune now that's looking at slut dropping and doing all kinds of things of debauchery with kids and, you know, drugs and all that kind of stuff. And that's not the emotion that you want a kid. You know, you don't want your kids to get too emotional with music. It should be there as a tool of enjoyment, but it should make you contemplate and realize where you are as well.
We discussed this in the group, if you remember, and I said to you, you know, go back in time, and songs were, you know, can I walk you home from school? I'll take you for a coffee. Can I hold your hand? You know, may I have this dance? Now it's slap your bitch up and who's your hoe? And I sit there and I think, well, when did we become a country that thinks referring to women as their bitches and hoes is normal, and teaching little girls that being called a bitch and a hoe, yeah, that's a compliment. If he calls you a bitch and a hoe, it's because he finds you attractive and he wants to take you home and marry you. Music for me, it speaks, and I am a huge lover of music, and music is to me, it's poetry. It's poetry to sound. So when words can have such a powerful, it is such a powerful tool used in such a negative way. And I think that the perfect example was when I sent you that rapper, the white guy called Tom McDonald. And he was rapping about, you know, don't blame me for my white skin. I didn't own slaves. My father's father didn't own slaves. And when he sings about it, there is a massive support for him from black people, but they come on support him and still use the M word. And I kind of want to go, yeah, you're quite not getting it. Just get, if the word's offensive, it's offensive no matter who's saying it. Which is why when I saw this disgusting display in London with the what is it, the Friendly Family Police Force? Yes.
Right. Well, hold on, Tona. And by the way, hi, Jason. You're right. Oh, he's still bad, mate. He's still bad. Yeah. Sorry, dude. Sorry, mate. Oh, look at that.
Can't hear a word he's saying, bless him.
We've had to castrate him already. Right, sorry about that, mate. But
he's
right,
had his molars removed. I mean, it's bad enough, bless him, that he lost a tooth and he's still waiting.
Just to explain to everyone there, we've had a little bit of a technical hitch going on. We've had Jason try to sort his end out. We've had people that have come in and then not been able to make it because of last minute things. And by the way, I'd like to give a big hello to Joel, and I hope everything works out okay as well. So there's been all kinds of issues in the background. So it's ended up with the Bugle and I am afraid. But just to talk, oh no, not at all, because I think it's just going to be even just as much engaging, if not as before. To go on your point that you was making before about the white boy, what I've done here now, if I can just stop that and introduce
brilliant song, that white boy, is absolutely brilliant. And the words are just bang on point.
Just to give, you know, a bit of background. Oh no, the wrong one. Right. Bear with me. I thought I had it.
Pull yourself out. What's wrong with you?
Yeah, no, you'd think I'd know what I'm doing by now, wouldn't you? Yeah.
Well,
that's certainly not the case. So
you see, if I was doing topic mastery right, then you wouldn't have got that wrong at all, would you? Well,
this is it, you see. That blows that myth out the water, doesn't it? Right. Can you see that, Tony? Yeah?
Yes, I can. Please do. I mean, it's only about a minute and a half, I think, isn't it? 2 minutes.
Right. Well, we'll just play a little bit of it just to give people a gist, so that at least they can put a face to a name. There we go.
I cannot feel guilty for that I didn't do, but I can understand the reasons why you think that I should. Yeah, I'm white, but I never put you in no news, and I never burned the cross or hit my face with a hood. You can't just label me racist because I'm related to people who did some terrible way back before I was alive. My parents brought me up to treat everyone as an equal. I refuse to feel ashamed because of my pretty blue eyes. And Nazi, white supremacist. Anyone who labels me as that because of my family genetics. The hatred for Caucasians is so pathetic. Go be proud that you're black, but don't hate me for some credit. I'm not the white devil, neo-Nazi, cop trying to pull the trigger. You can call me what you want, but I'd still never say.
Yeah, he still never said it. Yeah. What do you think of that, Tony?
See, I just think that the whole song is so powerful. I really do. And I remember stumbling across this quite a long while ago. And I sent it to you and I said, you know, he says what every person wants to say but dare not say. And he says it because he's not in the actual music industry. He won't be bought by the music industry. And because of that, he really hits home the message that, you know, stop hating on me and telling me that I owe you something because of the purely based on the color of my skin. Because I never owned a slave, neither did my parents or my grandparents or their parents. We're talking about a long time ago. I mean, hundreds of years ago, especially in this country. And it took a long time to really bring race relations into a more positive place. And even though we had these elements of racism, of course we did, and I'd be lying if I said racism doesn't exist. Of course it does. But you want to know what really pisses me off? And I've said this to you before. If they really want to talk about institutionalized racism, how about we talk about thousands and thousands and thousands of young white girls being raped on a mass industrial scale and being ignored because they're white girls? Yeah. Is that's institutionalized racism, surely?
Well, it's discriminating by the way of the colour of the skin. It's allowing it to happen, complicit behaviour. Same again with the Black Lives Movement going the way it is. If this was apparent that black girls were predominantly being targeted because of the colour of the skin, the world would be in uproar. You know, if the world's in uproar over very much less, albeit, you know, there's a general attitude and a spike of people who do take on the concepts of racism. But generally, most people don't take the concepts of racism, but yet everyone has got to be treated that racism is very much there and very much in your face. And one thing I'm going to do here, Tony, I wanted to play you something just to give you the little, let me know what you think. I was about to go out on a bike ride the other day with a very good friend of mine. And before I'd left, the TV was on because my wife was about to watch something. And it was ITV. Now, as we know, ITV is all very much regional. So for us, it's Granada TV. It was about 8 o'clock. Granada TV played this. Now, I hope you can hear it. I filmed it. It's not the most professional filming because I had to hold my phone up against, but this is the propaganda that's being put out prime time, ITV.
As a boy, I put soap on my face to play with the white kids at school. As a teenager, I learned karate to defend myself from the National Front. As a young man, I represented Britain and won medals. We held that there was no black in the Union Jack. As an adult, I went into public life, representing the streets I've come from to give young people an opportunity and was seen as threatening and aggressive. As an elder, I continue to face the challenges I've faced all my life. In my 63rd year, I find myself more vulnerable in my skin than I have ever been.
What do you make of that, Tony? 63 years of age, and he's supposed to feel it now that all of a sudden the tide has changed and he can't.
It's a lie. It is an out fucking lie. I apologize for my language, but it's a lie. But what really does mean, we've had this propaganda shit being pumped into our TVs for so long now that I was telling you, I used to be a massive EastEnders fan. And they ran this storyline where there was a young mixed race boy who was Asian mixed, mother was white, father was actually Muslim, and a mixed race black boy, mother was white, father was black. And they got attacked and stabbed. Who do you think did the stabbing? A white boy. Now, please someone tell me that when you go to London, who's actually committing most of the stabbings? Because it isn't white people, and people go, yeah, but it's just EastEnders. And I'm sitting there going, But do you not understand there's a lot of people up in the north that watch EastEnders and think that's a true depiction of what it's like in London?
Well, they do when they watch Coronation Street. They actually think that we, you know, live our life like that. So many times that's been said.
Yeah.
And it's understandable because it's conditioning. That is supposed to be depictive of the North, just like EastEnders is supposed to be depicting East End life.
And it just doesn't. It just doesn't. And the worst of it is, they're not lying to us. We know the truth. They're lying to themselves. And this is, as far as I'm concerned, this is where they play into it. And that's what I mean by when I say that we've got young white girls being specifically targeted and raped on a massive scale, and that is institutionalized racism. I say it because the institutes that knew about it, schools, social workers, care homes, the government, police forces, you name it, they knew about it and they covered it up. If they didn't cover it up, they turned their backs and walked away. So it is institutionalized. Now, when they sit there and say, I did notice a comment on Sarah Garvey's YouTube today, where he says white people only like a certain type of black person.
Really?
So I asked him on there, what type of black person is it you claim?
Being that he's black, Tony, how can he speak for a white person at that point? Sorry.
Which is Tom McDonald's song he's saying, isn't it? Don't tell me how I see it through my white eyes, because you're not the one in my skin. You can't read my mind. You can't see through my eyes. That's
the same argument that I applied in the 70s, that when people were saying that there's not that much of a bigger deal with racism, and there was back then leave it there. But then when people are trying to play it down to me, they're not the ones that stood at the bus stop getting grief off people that are passing in cars. They're not the one who then obviously now feels a little bit threatened because they're not the ones who's going to get attacked and whatnot. But that was then. So you can't apply that argument now and say, well, you know, now I know what the white person feels. No, you don't. I'm for me, as you know, I've covered what I've covered over the past 3-4 years. And I wouldn't say there's a persecution, because I think people, human beings per se, we're all being persecuted in our own skin. We're all being marginalized, polarized, and pigeonholed to do this to one another. But I've never seen it so over the past 3 years, an anti-white rhetoric, without a doubt. And if there is an anti-black rhetoric, which obviously will exist, that is the one that is allowed to be guilted back towards white people, but yet the anti-white rhetoric that black people are betraying is never, ever mentioned. Now, that to me is where I've got to stand and go, no. Now you're making me want to come out and talk about the negativity within black society, because you guys are not. And if you're not doing that, it's not painting the whole picture. Sorry,
and what's worse is that you can't even depict now. You can't depict a white couple and their white children in a TV advert. You can't depict a white couple and their children in a child's storybook. They have to bring in this whole, you've got to have a white woman with a black man, or a black, you know, or a black woman with a white man and mixed race children. Like it's treated that to be in love with somebody who's white, settle down and make a family with someone who's white, makes you racist. They're making it so it feels like you're being made to feel like it's not normal. But surely if we're not responsible for who we fall in love with, because you love who you love, you don't go out and go, listen, I really want to fall in love with you, but you're the wrong skin color. So sorry about that. But if you could go and, you know, change your skin, then I can fall in love with you. Nobody does that. We cannot choose who we fall in love with.
Well, that would be kind of racism or racist based, because you don't judge your love on race, do you? You judge on what's going on here. And that is indiscriminate of colour or anything. You see past all that. You see past warts, freaking farting in the bed and everything because of that. beautiful thing in there. And by the way, I do fart in the bed, and yes, the wife.
Oh, in the bed, that beautiful thing in there. He's not talking about farting in the bed.
Sorry, I've got to throw it out there. Man's man. And I don't want to ask your opinion on men farting in the bed either. I don't think we. I think I've got a feeling where you're going to go with this. So let's jump straight to the next one, which is the flip side, Tony, of whatever division people are feeling. The very last thing you do is create a segregated community yourself, or try and pump a segregated community. So when we first had, you've got certain rap stars, particularly one, a young black lad who's pledged to put so much money into black scholarships and all that kind of stuff. That's great. But there's an element of that where you're making yourself very exclusive towards your own. So that could be discrimination within itself, even if you're trying to do the right thing. And I know I get the intent behind it, but you can also get how the empowered may gain a little bit of ammunition by you posing the argument or like that.
But look, I get that if you've got communities, it doesn't matter what colour their skin is. If you've got communities that are going through hard times, charity begins at home. We should all try and do what we can, right? Regardless of how we do it. That's the right way to do it. When Live Aid held its concert, you know all these people that have been told, look, they're racist. It's a racist country. The money went out to Africa. But look how many millions, all those working class people, black and white together, put their hands in their pockets and donated to Live Aid for Ethiopia, a country that actually most of the money got embezzled anyway and sidelined. But then it turned out that they do have water. They just don't know how to get down to it. So you've not educated people. But the people in this country, when we saw those images of children starving, I didn't sit there and go, oh, I know, no, I can't put my money in that. They're little black kids. I went, oh, God, look at that poor kid. That poor child. I didn't go black child. I just saw a child.
Do you know what I find strange about all this, Tony, is that I feel that probably you, not you personally, but being of your skin tone, is being made to feel responsible for a multitude of different things that people who share your skin tone have done. I.e., if someone now on a conglomerate level is raping and pillaging financial structures within Africa that will keep them subdued financially from growing, I think you're getting the butt of that. If you've got someone through minerals, like I spoke about with Jason not so long back, where it was, we realized that China plays a big role in extracting a lot of minerals from lots of different countries to make sure it's technologically 21st century. But yet the white man will get that kind of slap for that. And other little institutions, maybe oil institutions, maybe arms institutions, these are all fronted by white individuals and maybe of a certain mentality where they don't give a shit about anyone. Really, they'll do that to that country as much as they'll do it to another country. But then particularly the residents of that said country that that person represents then has the narrative set for them. And I think that's unfair, because I don't believe you're getting any money from any oil extraction from Africa, or any minerals that are being extracted, or maybe any sexual trafficking that is going on there that is maybe portrayed by the white man. So why should you have to be blamed for that?
Well, the thing is, whereas you people say, oh, you know, you're being made to feel guilt. No. I refuse to feel guilt. I refuse to feel guilt. I refuse. And this is exactly what that song is saying. I'm not going to feel guilty for something I didn't do. I didn't do it. It is that simple. I didn't do it. My family didn't do it. My ancestors didn't do it. And if you're going to go all the way back through my history, I guarantee that we were probably always working class. We were probably always piss poor. So the chances are we couldn't have afforded a slave, even if we'd wanted one.
You know what's even weirder, Tony? Sorry to butt in there, but just imagine you're face to face with someone that's saying that to you. just imagine they come from a family background that was pretty broken, pretty dysfunctional. And the father maybe left home quite early on. Maybe the father was quite promiscuous and had 2 or 3 other kids to other different women, and all just as illegitimate as her, in a sense. Maybe the father run a life of criminality as well in order to kind of just coast through life. Why should you still feel just as bad for what's going on when you know if that person was to look into the mirror, into their own family background, their own family connections, what their descendant was all about, and not evaluate that? Because what I'm seeing with a lot of people, the black militants and whatnot, they're quite happy to form what we're seeing here now. But at the same time, gangbanging is far more detrimental to a black man than anything a white man, whilst I've been walking these streets in the past 50 years, as opposed to me, literally. So I don't get why they can't look at themselves without projecting that the Tony Bugles of the world and the great Brits of the world are thoroughly to blame just by nature of their genes.
The thing is, this is because I have apparently got white privilege. Now, I really, really want to address this issue on my white privilege. So just to give a very basic outline. Now, you've known me a long time, Phil, and you know quite a lot about me. But I grew up as a kid. We didn't have a lot. In fact, at one point, my family lived in a caravan. 4 children, mum and dad, 2-bedroom caravan. We rented it because that's what we had to move. My dad had moved away to get work because he wanted to feed his kids, and there wasn't work where he'd been living. So we didn't have that. We didn't have a lot. So we didn't grow up much. We didn't go hungry because my mum made sure we were fed. But that often meant I was going out as kids. We didn't think twice about going into the farmer's field and half into new vegetables. It didn't enter our head to be a bad thing because we weren't taking it and selling it and making money. We were just taking enough home and giving it to my mum, and we ended up with it on our table to eat. We at one point had our own chickens as well, so that we had our own eggs. So we didn't have a lot of money growing up. I then got sexually abused, as you know, between the age of 8 and 10. After that, again, still didn't have a lot. Never had a lot when it came to Christmas. Christmas was always fantastic in our house because the rest of the year was pretty bad, and we struggled, and we got into debt, and Dad was a bit of a naughty boy. As I said, he was a Del boy. If it fell off the back of a lorry, he was pushing it off the other side. He did what he had to do to provide for his family the best way he could. Now, I then get to 15, I get gang raped. I end up living on the streets in London because I couldn't tell my family what had happened. So out of fear of what was going to be done to my sister and my brothers and my mum and my dad, I lied to my family and told them I'd got a job. I ended up living rough on the streets where I mixed with prostitutes. Some of them were really aggressive, and some of them would come out and get me something to eat because I was hungry. Now, during that period of time, I was attacked on multiple occasions. I even fought a girl over cardboard. Somebody needs to show me where the fucking hell my white privilege was, because I'm pretty sure there wasn't one part of my life that was privileged. Neither was my family's life privileged. Now, for me to become who I am today and to have the little that I have, and believe you me, I see my house as this is my castle, you know, because I've gone from nothing to what little I have now. But I've had to work hard and go without a hell of a lot to make sure that I have just a little tiny bit of luxury in my life. So somebody needs to tell me, where's this white privilege that apparently I have? Because I can't see it.
No, I think the funny thing is, Tony, I think that the average person will realise themselves that there's kind of no such thing as privilege in that sense, that doesn't matter what the colour of your skin is. You go through highs and lows in life, and there's people, there's white people I know that can get the rug pulled from them, metaphorically speaking, within their life, just like a black individual. I know people that will lose their jobs just like that for no apparent reason, because of no apparent reason. And it's not because of the colour of their skin, it's because the chips have fallen that way. Now, that might mean that then they can take that and then come up smelling of roses 6 weeks later. So what I tend to find is, instead of thinking the white privilege, I think that we are, all of us, privileged to be breathing on this planet the way it stands now. We've all got our cards dealt with us that is kind of foreseeing how things should go. It's up to you whether you want to play them cards exactly the way they are, or whether you want to play this twist and fold. And that's how people go on in this life. And some people twist and fold and end up dropping off the edge. Some people then maneuvers, and it's all a journey. And that doesn't have a colour skin. So to get really tied up onto this, to me, is classed as regressive. It's going back. It's not only a victimhood mentality, but it is a vicious mindset that is not conducive to you.
My life wasn't hard it wasn't hard because I was a white girl, but it equally wasn't easy because I was a white girl. My life was what it was, and you know what? You had two choices: sink or swim. I chose to swim. Some people choose to swim and still sink. And it has nothing to do with skin colour. Life as a whole, life is fucking colourblind.
What about the person who's been involved in a car accident, Tony, and then...
Why is your screen like that, Phil? Why has it got me locked down in like a miniature screen down here and you're in a miniature screen, so I can't... I've just still got the YouTube thing up here.
What, are you're on there? You're underneath me? I mean, that sounds a bit wrong.
Marty, Vicar.
Oh, Jesus.
We haven't been accused of having an affair before. All I can see is the YouTube link.
You can't see me?
No.
Am I not above you? Again. Right, okay. I have no idea what's going on. Right, well, let's get to this video then, if you can see it. Can you see this video that's on the screen now, Sonia?
Yep.
Right, okay. Let's see if we can play it and just see what your thoughts are as we run through it.
Am I going to be angry?
What was that, Tony?
Am I going to be the angry white woman when I see it?
Well, just see what you think. See what thoughts it evokes. It's basically these guys just doing some kind of mock training in a park. I think it's more for show than actually a true sound viable initiative. But see what you think.
Allegedly, it's serious. So if you see me in this vest, this is what's been going on. Everyone's asking about the vest.
I'm getting no image. I'm only getting sound.
Are you not seeing it, Tony?
No, it's not showing us playing here, but I can hear the sound.
Right, okay. Right, I don't know what's going on there, because you should have been able to see it.
The YouTube thing is that. See, now you're both side by side again.
Yeah, we're in. I'm going to try and re-enter it, you see, and see what happens there.
Might just be sat there for too long.
Yeah, I think it may have done that. Right, how's that? What can you see now, Tony? Yeah, we're up there. Right, okay.
I can see the YouTube now.
Right, here we go. Can you hear it? Are you okay, yeah? Can you hear it?
Yeah.
All right, here we go.
We've got a weapon that's much more strong than any gun or any atomic bomb. Yeah? Our weapon is love for each other. Yeah? Love for our community. Yeah? Love for the creator and love for our creation. Yeah? That's our most powerful weapon. And our second most powerful weapon is our mind. Yeah? We understand the law. We understand that if you haven't seen, smelled, or touched or committed a direct crime, then you're acting out of prejudice. Yeah? But we understand how to police the police in our community and protect our youth. Yeah, we understand conflict resolution. We understand that we're stronger together, and the only way, yeah, that we're going to change the bad in our community is when the village comes together. It takes a village to raise a child. We are the village. Come on. We are the village.
Now, what I'm confused about this is this targeted at police, the white community in general, or is this elastic band effect back at the negative aspects of the black community?
Well, look, let's just go on aesthetically. It's very aggressive looking.
Mm.
It's very paramilitary looking.
Mm.
I would feel extremely intimidated if I walked down the street and was confronted by that. I mean, I would feel terrified. In fact, if I saw that coming towards me, I'd go the other direction. That would be the feeling it would create in me.
Sadly, I think that's the feeling they want to create, Tony.
Of course it is. 100%. And then on top of that, you've got the fact that they're calling themselves, well, it's actually a criminal offence to set up another police force. They can't actually do that. So you can't then complain if the police then arrest you for trying to create another police force, because that's actually an offence. But of course, you'll claim you're being victimised where if they was to go in and do that.
But this is where
I don't think the police have been unfair towards the black community. In fact, I'd say the opposite. I think they've for too long within these ghettoized areas where they chose to ghettoize themselves even further. You know, they shut themselves off. White people in certain areas were literally driven out with violence. And now you're complaining. Well, hang on a minute. Maybe if you had become more inclusive of everyone, then you wouldn't feel the way you do right now. Maybe if you stop your victimhood, you wouldn't feel the way you do right now. But this is you allowing your victimhood to perpetuate a myth that doesn't exist except in your own head.
Conditioning the latest generation to believe that that is what is their cards in life, when I've never seen it so multicultural. My daughter, one of my daughters still goes to school. The school she goes to, when I see the people walking down the street, all together, Tony, Muslim, black, white, you still get your segregated elements within that. You will get your pockets of just white kids. You'll get your pockets of just black kids. You'll get your pockets of just a couple of Muslims walking down the street. But ultimately, they're all there as a cohesive unit. That was not there 30 years ago. So
but you know that maybe there's a little bit of this that sort of goes, listen, we're losing the grip on the old victim card for racism here. And we're not being treated with kid gloves that we were once being treated with. So what we need to do is we need to perpetuate the myth a little bit, fuel it, stir it up, stoke it up a little bit. Then we can scream victimhood, 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 and we become again specially treated. I mean, look, when you look at school examinations and education, young black kids are doing better than young black boys. Than young white boys. So what does that tell you then? If you're, do you know the other thing that always makes me laugh about this? They will always turn around and say things like, and I listened to that Sarah Garvey say this: white people live off the back of slavery, education, money that was raised like banks and things like that. That's why that stupid bank came out and apologized. Why? But what they never want to say is, but they benefit from the slave trade as well. Mm. They haven't got up and left the country and gone, do you know what? Nah, now we're free. We don't want to be here. We're going back to what country we came from. No, you've not done that. So you've stayed here. Things have got better. We've progressed through time. We're in a better place than we've ever been before. Finally, we have got to the point where, on the whole, not overall, but on the whole, we don't judge each other by skin color. But now you want to point at me and say, but you benefit from the back of slavery. Well, no, I never have actually. But black people do too. If I do, so do you.
Well, I've had nothing that you're not entitled to.
We were owned by slaves. We were the slaves.
But this is it. If you're going to play the victim game, we could go on all day. And all that means, me as an individual, Tony, I'm never going to accelerate to anything in life because someone else is always preventing me from doing it. And it's the most retarded way of thinking, because that ultimately stops me. That's almost like saying, I've got an irrational fear of airplanes, getting on airplanes. Whatever you feel, some people have it, some people don't. Now, I know that that irrational fear is stopping me getting on an airplane and going to the, wherever the bloody sales shows with my family. So because of it, I stay at home and let the other family members go. I've got to acknowledge that it's not the plane, it's me and my mentality that is keeping me within that mindset that's stopping me do it. So
it's not the family, it's not the aircraft, it's what's going on in your head.
Exactly. So if we play that game, I'll never ever get to see any country, and I think, wow, the horizons that could have been broadened.
What's really about it as well is that this whole Black Lives Matter organisation is run by white people.
Yeah.
Wealthy white people. So the actual people who do benefit from privilege, regardless of the fact that it isn't me that's got it, but I'm apparently the one who should feel shame for it. But you're being led by rich white people who are Marxists and communists.
Who want nothing more than to use you as a pawn. Don't mean you, I mean black people, as a pawn in order to get their revolution. This is not about, making sure black people have got equilibrium in life. Far from it. They're just used as a tool to upset the West. I mean, going to this now, what you can see in front of you here, Tony, this is obviously going to take place tomorrow. Was it Tottenham Police Station? So you can see what they're trying to do.
Stop the disproportionate use of handcuffs during surgery. No, let's not stop using handcuffs during surgery, because we don't know if you've got a knife in your pocket or a gun in your pocket. And hello?
Well, this is it.
And I would say use handcuffs no matter who you fucking search. Black, white, or sky blue, pink with polka dots on their ass. Use handcuffs always.
I don't get why they're asking for everything that the average Bobby wouldn't do to another guy if he was on a street round the corner in another area. You know what I mean? I don't want over policing. I don't want it. The bottom line is
horrendous videos. I don't know if you've seen any of these as well in the last few days of groups of young people, including groups of young white people, attacking police officers.
I've seen that, yeah.
On the ground, throwing things at them, spitting at them. That's what this has done for this country. Yeah. And all this stop the over-policing of the black community, fine. But if your child gets abused, don't call the police. If your house gets burgled, don't you fucking dare call the police. Your child goes missing, use your Forever Family police force to find them. Don't you dare have the audacity to pick the phone up and ring the old bell or ask them to man your marches. Because I've seen that as well. We need the police to be there because we're holding a protest. So you need the police force. Which is it? You need them, you don't need them. You want them, you don't want them. Oh,
I mean, we've been the first to criticise the police when they over-proportionately come to marches and act in the way they do. But to literally get them to pack away every bit of their utensils that in today's world they need in order to tackle crime, or at least, I mean, I'm not going to go into any area if they're telling me I can't pull out my handcuffs, there's no way I can taser anyone. Well, the actual stopping and searching, so then I have to literally think about that before they do anything.
Excessive force. By that, what they mean is you have to go up to somebody and say, excuse me, I'm not going to put handcuffs on you. I'm going to ask you if you would kindly, please, with fluffy clouds around you, would you mind following me to the police station so I can charge you and book you? And they're going to go, of course, Ossifa. Of course, not a problem. You don't think they're going to turn around and go, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? You got no cuffs? You got no money?
They're empowered, exactly. So it ain't going to get anywhere. And this is the same argument we had when, I know it sounds really old and granddadish, but when they stopped the punishment in schools, all of a sudden the power shifted. And then all, the teacher's there. And then when he had a little bit of force and intimidation or a little bit of fear, knowing that you could get a protractor or a board rubber thrown at your head, he couldn't do it anymore. Then all of a sudden, the kids turn around and, well, you can't touch me. Boom. the power was transferred, and you feel that now. All they're trying to do, I mean, look at this. If you was to actually do that and then roll out the police with that kind of mandate, what's the fucking point of them? They might as well be PCSOs.
But the thing is, they'd still be saying, "Oh, there's been a child murdered. You must do your job and investigate." No, fuck you.
And what if they do apprehend a guy? They can't over police him because he might be black. They can't excessively fucking use. They can't use a taser. What if he's pointing a gun? It might not have been a gun.
The man who's just had your daughter pinned to the floor and then raped her. Yeah, but I'm afraid we can't put cuffs on him. We can't investigate him because we can't over police your community.
Exactly.
Oh, sorry. Did you say there'd been somebody murdered? Really sorry. Can't do anything about it. Because I can't go in and use excessive force, and I can't take my taser in, and I can't put handcuffs on anybody. And I can't even search him to see if he's got the weapon on him that you say he's got on him. So really sorry about that.
I've got a protest, right? And I want to tell everyone here, stop the bus. This is the biggest, most important protest that you could ever have, particularly if you're a DJ. Don't fuck about, you know what I mean? If we're talking equality, let's get equality right. The vinylists must be going through some shit at the moment, Tony.
They're screwed with, well, they brought out the CD, didn't they? And that was it.
Oh, over, didn't they?
It got destroyed, didn't it?
Oh, without a doubt. I mean,
and I wouldn't mind, but they also, let's face it, vinyl used to be also referred to as lino for the flooring.
Brave woman, Tony.
Very expensive. Very
basket case. Now that's not a good indictment when the name of the avatar is by a basket that says "Brave woman, Tony." So am I to believe a basket case has said you're a brave woman?
I'm not sure why I'm brave, but I'll own that. Thanks.
But it's said by a basket case, Tony.
Well, I'm one of them myself, so I don't mind.
Oh no, it's all going well.
Might take me a while to find them. Listen, I hate to tell you this, but I've got bigger balls than most men, so I shouldn't worry about it.
I'm not going to doubt that. I'm not going to doubt that. I mean, let's look at it this way then, Tony. Why have so many people kind of seen the wrong side of you? Not seen the wrong side, but took from what they've seen from you and then misconstrued what the Bugle's all about over these years?
Well, because you have the likes of the soap dodging Hope Not Hate, didn't you? And they attempted to try and smear my name because they wanted to deem me as far right because I tell the truth. And God forbid you have anybody tell the truth, because the truth now has become the new hate speech. And there is always this mentality that's put across that I somehow think all Muslim men rape, which also not the case. But I'm not afraid to call out a rapist, paedophile, no matter where he comes from. So if it's a Sikh guy doing it, I will say it's a Sikh man. If it was a Chinese man doing it, I'd say it's Chinese. If it was a white man doing it, and he'd been screaming from a holy Bible at the time he did it, I will call him a Christian, I'll call him a white man.
Are you sure, though? He's got white privilege, though, Tony, hasn't he?
Well, you kind of think so, even though I'm quite happy to say that the majority of the men that go out to Gambia and rape children in Gambia are white men. But when I say Muslims target predominantly white girls in this country, rape them, abuse them, traffic them, brand them, torture them, somehow apparently that makes me an Islamophobe. Because according to Hope Not Hate, I hate all Muslims. So when as you know, you came to the protest when I held a rally in Westminster and stood side by side, shoulder to shoulder with my very, 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 very good friend, Rahil Raza. It kind of destroyed the myth, and they were left a little bit sort of, they didn't quite know what to make of it. And the police, and the best picture for me on the day, I mean, it was we had some fantastic images that day. But for me, my favorite is a police officer he's an armed officer, and he's outside Westminster, and a lady went past, and we got the Dare to Care for a Bear teddy bears. The Great Brit sorted out for me, bless him. And what we'd done is the money actually went to several victims and survivors. However, we stopped a guy, and each bear had the name of a town where a grooming gang was operating. And he read the back of it, and on the back of it, these little t-shirts said "Mothers Against Radical Islam and Sharia." And he read it, held it in his hand, like in this hand, and gave it the thumbs up with his hand with all the guns hanging on. Do you remember that picture?
Yeah, I should have included that in the stream.
Oh,
I'll say it, Tony. I mean, we've said it before. The crazy thing was the turnout with that, because of all the infighting, how people made their mind up what they were going to celebrate and what they didn't. Now, in hindsight, that was one of the most stupid things they did. And even they'll think now that it was irrelevant, them doing that. If they thought they were getting at you, they were actually getting at themselves by not showing support to something. But on the flip side to that, you look at the message that was being portrayed, you look at the attendance of people, you look at the lack of attendance of any police that was crowding it or doing anything to it at that point. That was the best march, narrative-wise, that I had ever been to, going whether it London, Sunderland, Scotland, wherever, don't really matter. There was nothing that touched that, because all the others had an element of policing. All the others were closely followed by all the press that were coming out and castigating it. All the others had stand up to racism. You didn't have one counter protest there. You didn't have one police officer.
This is what I said. How can you counter protest people, women especially, because we've got 200 women. How do you counter protest women carrying teddy bears? What are you going to say? That bear offends me. Put your clothes on. That bear offends me.
With Baroness Cox in the front.
And a vicar, female vicar. We had a female vicar there. In fact, she has agreed that if we did it again, she would consider speaking. So yeah, we had a female vicar. We had Rahil Raza, who is known globally, and her husband Sahil, and Baroness Cox, and obviously yours truly. We had a young girl who had been a victim of these rape gangs, and the fabulous, inspirational Torrin Watson, mother of Becky Watson. And my point has always been, if I say the name Stephen Lawrence, everybody knows him. But nobody knows who Kelly Sinner or Becky Watson is. That's a fucking travesty.
All lives matter.
Well, they're supposed to. But they don't feel, to me, when you say it's a privilege to be alive, I don't feel it is anymore. I genuinely don't. I feel like because of this, especially now with all this Black Lives Matter, and, you know, we're all racist just by virtue of the fact that we're born with a skin color. These girls are going to get ignored even more. These crimes are going to get pushed under the carpet even further.
But that's when everything, abuse has been politicized. You should never politicize abuse. You don't take priority over an ethnicity or a colour.
Your screen showing your tabletop here. Did you mean for that?
It is, yeah. No, I wanted to actually show you the video. Yeah. So let's jump onto this, because this is a video you sent, but kind of backing up what you were talking about as well. So let's see if it plays.
Love this. Where's the sound, Phil?
You know, is it not playing the sound?
Well, it is, but it's very, very quiet.
Is it? Right, okay.
Yeah.
Let's see if it plays it any louder. Try again.
You're disgusting.
Is that better?
You should be ashamed of yourselves. You're animals. What is wrong with you guys? What's wrong with you? Your little daughter, your granddaughter, or your little niece being passed around from one bloke to another. Imagine that, just being passed around like a piece of meat. How would you feel? How would you flipping feel? You know, if that was me, you know what I'd do to people like you? That is a solution. That is a solution. But you're lucky. We live in England. The laws are soft on people like you. You should be ashamed of yourselves. And brothers, if you find out people like this are doing this stuff in the community, serve them good and proper. Deal with them good and proper and hand them into the old bill straight away. Because they're bringing shame to us. Flipping filthy animals. You make us sick. And the media, when you're reporting, make it factual. Don't leave bits out.
Excellent. It's nice. It's nice to
You
hear
know,
that.
people like that. And I have actually left a comment. I've reached out to him. I'm hoping that he will respond, because that's the sort of people I want on a platform. I want them to have a voice. I think that if you take a voice away from people like that, then we're never going to stop this problem.
They're the voices we need, Tony.
Yeah.
He's someone in the community. Look, I ain't got a problem in wanting to, adhere to that faith. Great. What appears to me that he seems to have a moral compass. And that's all I'm after. Content of character, not colour of skin, or not even the faith. Content of character, that tells me that you see that is just as horrible as I see it, mate. So we're standing side by side with this. So, yeah.
Look, Ali Dawah, you can stand in Hyde Park and you're Mohammed Hijab. You can have your voices in Hyde Park if you want. I don't want your voice. Your voice is extreme. You're militant. And I don't want you. But this man, this is the man that I want. Somebody has said, Mr. C, what I'm saying is nothing to do with religion. It's just country. Well, I can't completely agree with you on that. And I wouldn't completely agree. I can't.
You're being diplomatic, Tony.
No, I'm disagreeing with him.
No, I know. I get you.
And I'm disagreeing because there isn't, unfortunately, and this is where people need to understand the difference. You take a young Muslim boy and you have an imam brought in from abroad with militant views and militant ideologies that tells him that he has the right to go out and rape a young girl because she's white, then I'm afraid that he can go to the scripture and he can justify it. Now, the difference is just because Muslims follow a certain ideology, look, I don't believe it's a religion of peace. That's my opinion. I want the right to criticize it. But that doesn't mean I want to take somebody's faith away from them. People have a right to their faith. And if they follow their faith and they don't go out and cause harm to me or others, I don't care what they follow. I genuinely don't. And I don't want to take it because we have a Magna Carta. And the Magna Carta states they have the right to religious freedom. Nobody has the right to take somebody's faith away from them. But faith should be personal. And that's not what we're seeing. And unfortunately, they can go to things and they can justify this, especially in the verses of the sword and the hadith. And that's why Rahia Raza, who's a reformist, is so amazing.
I mean, it's control mechanisms, though, isn't it, Tony? All of it to a degree that can lead to incitement. I mean, we've got what's going on with elements of the Muslim community, but then let's scratch over to the black community with this Black Lives Matter. They're not reading from any scriptures, but they've got it in their head that this victimhood, you know what I mean? So it's flipping it almost.
Well, they're kind of an ideology. They're reading from Marxism, aren't they? So,
well, to a degree, they're denigrating white people straight off the bat. So that will dehumanize the white person. So then if you do see a spate of crimes that are being projected against white people from black people, that is being done because of the incitement and the conditioning that, as we're all seeing, you keep doing this, keep putting this advert out of the 63-year-old man that now feels that he can't come out of his house. It's going to get all this. You're going to get this animosity.
Yeah, I would love to challenge this 63-year-old man and tell him I have a 25-year-old daughter who has never judged my skin colour in her entire life. And you've met my daughter. You know what a darling she is.
Lovely. Yeah.
And she's never judged skin colour.
Let's talk about some of the grief that your daughter's now got off some of her close friends because of this Black Lives Matter. If you want to. If you don't want to, that's fine.
No, fine. No, she's been turned on. People have called her, you know, well, that's because you've got white privilege and you're a racist, and you know, you don't seem to understand because it's never happened to you, and friends have unfriended her. She's been verbally attacked in every conceivable way you can imagine. But what's interesting is and it hurt me. It hurt me when she told me that she was walking down the street. There was a group of young black lads, and she felt fear. She's never felt that before in her life, but all of a sudden she feels fear. Well, I didn't create that. Black Lives Matter did.
Yeah.
And the truth of it is, I don't think anybody can say if they see a group of young white people, they feel fear.
You know, it's funny you bring up a really good point, because probably 20, 25 years ago, I'd maybe encounter a young lad that's with his white parents, right? That kid would look at me like he's never seen a black person before. And I'd find it quite off-putting, to the point where I'm thinking, why don't the parents actually have this, you know, role where they explain, or they, at least if they had friends, you know, it's apparent that they don't see it. And I used to kind of blame them. But ultimately, that is exactly what's going on now with the different mindset, just flipped the other way, really. You know what I mean? And that's disturbing. And just to go back when I was talking about a 63-year-old gentleman, for anyone that's just jumped in on the stream, I was out the other day, or just about to go out the house, and just before I left, ITV, which is Granada News in our region, played what it is. It's just like a advert, if you could call it. It was an advert, all right, an advert for Marxism, where it's shown a 63-year-old gentleman portraying how he feels in modern day society. So I'm just going to play it again, just for those who jumped on and didn't get a chance to catch it.
As a boy, I put something on my face to play with the white kids at school. As a teenager, I learned karate to defend myself from the National Front. As a young man, I represented Britain and won medals. We held that there was no black in the Union Jack. As an adult, I went into public life, representing the streets I've come from to give young people an opportunity, and was seen as threatening and aggressive. As an elder, I continue to face the challenges I've faced all my life. In my 63rd year, I find myself more vulnerable in my skin than I have ever been.
I just want to crawl through the screen and go, you lying bastard. You lying bastard. And do you know the worst thing is? Continue down this path. Carry on pushing this agenda. Carry on telling every white person that they are the problem when they're not. And you watch what happens. That National Front that you claim you feared will rise its ugly head, and it will be thanks to arseholes like that. It will be thanks to that propaganda. It will be thanks to ITV.
Right.
Thank you, Black Lives Matter. Thank you to all of the cultural Marxists. Well done.
Well, look
Because
at this,
right now, like it or not, Phil, whether people like it or not, right now, white people are still a majority in this country. If they keep, where do they think they're going to go?
Oh, no. Well, look at this. I mean, I'm not going to try and explain people's actions away, but this is a clear cut, whether this person inherently feels this way or not. But one thing I will say is the current climate is going to exacerbate this, exactly what you're saying, Tony.
Yes, I shared that into the group. As I said, how's that helping? How does that?
It's still there. I mean, when you're getting this, you're going to get this. Now, obviously, this lady has got drunk and she probably doesn't know how to put herself across. But at the same time, I don't know what this lady was subjected to in there as well.
She was pissed, but she's still an actress. She knows exactly how to put herself across. She's trained to put herself across film.
Maybe. But this is what the rhetoric is. There's going to be a kickback.
And what she really thinks comes shooting out of her mouth.
But then it's all psychological, because if you're seeing this, that there's racism in the clouds, people are projecting victimhood on you. And then obviously I'm not condoning her saying that, because if she said it, then it's her own arse.
We don't know what we all right. I saw that there was a woman who was involved and it got interviewed on Facebook, and she said, no, nobody said or did anything. This woman just randomly went into this tirade. And I'm thinking, but so you say. We weren't there. Now, I'm not there. It's my dog just checking the house for me. We don't know whether things were said. But look at, let's take, for example, how many times I have been called a fucking white bitch, white whore, by black people and by brown people. Now, if I was to really snap and get pushed over at that side completely, if I then turn around and said something along those lines, would that make me the problem or the person who created that feeling inside me? Who's really to blame?
Exactly. Psychological. Winding people up. I mean, let's look at this. The bigger problem again, Tony. So for all they want to project onto people, Just after the lockdown, I was sent this by a very good, reliable friend of mine who happens to be black, but he is well connected. Okay. Now, this man knows his stuff and he knows his contacts. I was sent this along with a video that accompanied it. Okay. It was this article. Now, I don't know whether you remember that story. Just shortly after just before maybe the Brixton riot-ish, it says the actual date, 4th of July. There you go, Independence Day. So there was a big narrative going on, and then all of a sudden this happened, and it was the same story. No one's really going to talk about it. Let's still kind of they're pulling the statues down, because I think that was the thing. So you think, well, why aren't you talking about this? My friend included this with a video, right? I've cut the video down and I've obscured the video, because if I went to upload the video as it is now, I would get striked for it. The video, from what I can gather, is this shooting. Now, it's taken from what I can gather. I can't totally verify it, but I've even looked down to the fencing that is in the video as opposed to that is in this article, and it looks like for like. Now, like I say, I've obscured this video. It looks like it's security camera from behind what's going on. And what you'll see is one central figure. Where am I? One central figure in the middle, which is a black guy with a red hat on. You'll see a guy that's behind it. You won't really make out it's a guy, but a guy stood behind him, like shoulder to shoulder, right? Initially talking. Once it's apparent that the geezer has then dropped his guard in front with the red hat on, he then looks over into the other direction. At that point, the one behind pulls out a little revolver, points it at the guy's head, pops it, and the guy drops like a sack of spuds, and he's out of dodge. So I didn't want to say that and explain it, but I'm only saying it because I'm 100% that this is verified today.
Was it?
So like I say, I could have put it all in there, but I'm not. You get what went on. You could see someone that had dropped there. So that was that shooting. Now, I don't mind Black Lives Matter going on the way they do and wanting to have change. But why is not one individual want to talk about the bad-minded mentality that would drop his own brother like that, but yet wants to pull down every white statue and wants to blame you for all the woes that's going on there? Why aren't they talking about what makes a man want to pull out a revolver, drop him in the middle of a normal street and get off?
Because they think the minute we say that, that's us deflecting.
I don't see how you've created
What I want to know is what makes somebody like Sasha think that when you have an opinion like you've got, you're a, I'm sorry, I apologise for the words, you're a coon. How, whoa, I'll wait to look at her.
Let's look at it. Let's look at it. This is the Red Pill Phil. This is totally unbiased. I'm looking at two problems. Is it the white problem or is it black on black? Now, with the video I've just seen and with the stream and the interjections and the relationship that you and all my subbers have got, I know it can't be the white one because the white people are ultimately not doing that. Now, I look at the black side and I think of all the disharmonious individuals that are within it that will quite happily do me wrong as much as they'll look at me. They won't realize that even when I'm riding my bike, it's like an £800-900 bike. Do you know how many looks I get from black people because I'm riding around with a bike with a gold chain on? They're looking at me like I'm some kind of threat. Not all of them, but some of them do. So it's like, really? You're even looking at me, who's just getting on with himself, as some kind of threat to this fucking pecking order that you've got going on? Are you that threatened with your lifestyle that I can't even ride past you on my bike without you thinking that? And I get it, you know, we get it from all kinds, but the bottom line is, I know fundamentally what I've got to worry about. Fundamentally, it's not a white man attacking me. It's a black man who's going to want to take me down for what I've got. And there's enough songs to verify that. And there's enough ill feeling within the black community to verify that. And it's not the white person, but yet I am a coon. Clearly.
Like all the black rappers were singing about Donald Trump and all his money and bigging him up. He was a hero till he became the president.
Mr. Chestnut, yeah, well, I had to blur it, my friend, because I couldn't put the original one on. Do you want me to get a strike? You know, I had to put some kind of obscurity on. I mean, what do you really, you know, do you want your popcorn to that? I think you got the gist of what was going on there. I'm not about to get a community strike just to kind of, I mean, what do you think to that, Tony? Was that sufficient enough for you, or do you want a bit more blood?
Work out, but the things that you can't put it out there as much as you may want to, you can't. Because if you do, you won't just get a community strike. The next thing you know, you'll have the old bill knocking on your door. So there is one way of doing it. You saw what newspaper, what was the guy's name? Mr. Chevnaz, was it? And I say, with all due respect, this is the best thing you can do. You saw the newspaper article that it was in. You saw the date. If you go and you type in, they'll have a video, even if it's not the video that Phil's got. It will be a video of sorts, which should give you an idea of what actually happened. That's like a happy medium in between.
Yeah. There's not a lot else I can do there. I mean, I've gone as far as I'm prepared to go to kind of talk about that point. It's just literally that goes on. I started with articles about over a certain weekend, the 8 gunshots, you know, shot, people getting shot and stabbed and stuff. So
I reckon London's just had the worst murder rate it's ever had in the last month, I think. You have to sit there and go, but you know what? Then they complain, you see, because Countryfile did a program because they said that the countryside is racist.
I love the countryside. I want the countryside to stay exactly the way it is. How can you unracist the countryside? I mean, what do you do?
There's got enough black people in it.
Well, but you know what?
A lot of black people choose not to fucking live in the country.
You're right. You're right. I mean, this is it. I love me camping. I love me outdoor pursuits. I love me rambling. I love walking up big kiss my ass mountains. Not many black people do. I love playing in the snow. Not many black people do. That's why you've got the film.
You think volunteered to go and cut collies or cabbages or Brussels pulling?
It's just whether it's a cultural thing, I'm not going to say that. But what I can say, statistics tell me that when none of my black friends entertain camping in any way, and they all come with pretty much the same reason, which is fair enough. But out of my white friends, pretty much all of them have done it at one time or another, loved it, and now they're in the families. They want to do it more and more. We're constantly, oh, well, let's do it. Let's, oh, you know, 6 or 7.
I love camping. I used to take her camping as a kid. Now, my daughter, absolutely, even now, she's like a big kid. And she will take her son camping. It's just, and maybe it is a cultural thing. But for them to actually do a TV program and ask the question, is the countryside racist?
Well, it's not.
No, the countryside's just the fucking countryside. What you mean are people who live in the countryside racist? That's what you actually mean.
No, and it's not. I mean, anywhere. I've been to the smallest villages because when you camp, you go right out in the sticks. I've been to the far south Wales where you see nothing but snowdonia, you know, all the way up to like the Lake Districts and whatnot. And you will be in the minority. Of course you will. But that doesn't negate from my experience. The same again, if I go there with a victimhood mentality, then I'm going to think, oh, fucking hell, I can't even get out my tent. But
your black brothers would tell you, see, that's the white in you, Phil.
It probably is. It's, you know what it is? It's probably the good living that I want to experience life. And I'm not going to let anyone hold me back from that. I don't punch through any bag with any particular attitude other than just have a nice character about you and treat people how you want to be treated yourself. And it's amazing how many doors open when you're actually like that. So going back to the black population, if you don't want to go camping, that's fine. But you then ultimately can't say it's the people within the campsites that within these villages that are making you feel like that. You're not getting your ass out there.
If they show you the camping sites now, it will be filled on the whole with white people. You're then going to start complaining that caravan sites are racist.
this guy seems, this Mr. Chev Vance seems to like the one word that he likes to intermingle with his comments a little bit. I mean, I don't know what he's trying to kind of say there, but I've no idea. No idea. He's
Well, I know, but Great Britt said he was busy playing housewife, cooking and cleaning. I do like a man to look good as a scrubber.
He's my subby, you know. He's going to disown. He's just going to sit there and not. He's not going to do any kind of moderating for me anymore. He's just going to sit there and let all the trolls come in, just run amok in the comment section.
He loves me, and he wouldn't do that to us.
Hold on, what's this now? That's like saying I went on holiday in Africa and it is racist because the majority were black. You know, it's a wrong mindset. If you get out there and enjoy life, you don't see many people kayaking or black people kayaking or canoeing. Now, predominantly, that don't mean to say that no one does, because there are plenty. You know, there will be, but predominantly within that community, it's not the done thing. But that's fine if that's the way you want it. But by doing that, you've
pigeonholed bungee jumping, paragliding, parachuting. But it's not like, I mean, I'm sure those in the army do. But other than that, I would imagine that even then they've probably got their brothers right behind them, kicking their asses out the aircraft. It's not a choice. Do you know what I mean? I've got to do it. I don't have a choice. I have to. Yeah. But I just think I am so sick to death of everything being told that anything that's got a remotely more white populace, like the countryside, camping, tenting, like we just said, bungee jumping, canoeing, kayaking, whitewater rafting, all of those things, that if there's more white people doing them, it's because that thing is racist. And I just want to go like that. Just stop the bus. I want to get off. I just want to get off the fucking bus because you're talking out your ass. You want to turn everything and make everything about race. But the truth of it is, and we've said this before, Phil, I can't even argue with Tony. She says, I'm a scrubber. That's it. I am guru. I know. But we've said this before. I've never felt the need to discuss skin color before in my life, as I have done in the last year of knowing you. When I kept saying to you, this Black Lives Matter that kicked off quite a few years ago, it's going to come back. I remember saying to you, it's going to rise and it's going to hit a peak. And you was like, do you think? And I went, yeah, because I know what it's connected to. It's connected to Nations of Islam, which is connected to the Muslim Brotherhood. That's why it's so fucking extreme. And now it's connected to the left wing, which is, unfortunately, communism and Marxism. I love that. I love that, man. I watched that. I think
great guy. We've seen him with Don Lennon when he gets into him and he screws his face up at Don Lennon because he can't believe how liberal Don Lennon's coming across, you know?
Yeah, I love that, though. I absolutely love that.
I mean, this is another one. Look, you see, it's like all the races are kind of a...
They don't even use the right word. When they say under Muslim rule, under Islamic rule, that's Sharia law. And what have I said will come to this country if we don't stop it in its tracks? And that's the bigger issue. It's not whether somebody follows Islam. It's about stopping Sharia law. And I have been about that for the last 8 years. And that's where the true turning point is. You really want to change things? So I'm trying to tell people they shouldn't have their faith and stop them from having a separate law, which is Sharia law.
So he actually says it here, not just communism, but leftist Islamic alliance. So you can see that all the different affiliated groups that are attacking civilization now are all coming from the far left extreme groups, whether it be Muslim, whether it be white as in communistic, or whether it be the black groups that are now turning with the militancy as well. They're all culminating together, aren't they?
The white thing, but they will all be geared up and steered and pushed through by the likes of the Muslim Brotherhood. And that's why when you see people that go, yeah, but who's in control of the media? Yeah, but who's in control of this? Who's in control of that? And I just want to go, oh, I know what it was. It was the Jews. Was it? The Jews. But it wasn't. And they're not the problem. there are no Jews in my country targeting young girls. There's no Jews out there calling for, you know, they have the best. They do have the Shomrim, which is the Jewish police force. But it's not a police force. They're volunteers. And the truth of it is, they police the Muslim areas to protect Muslims. They're not policing their own areas. So it's a completely different thing. And they work in conjunction with our police under the guidance of what our police allow them to do. They're not armed. They don't have the rights to arrest and powers of arrest and things like that. Completely different. That's why I would have loved Joel to have been on here tonight.
Yes. Yeah,
But
I know.
we'll get Joel on because Joel's he's one of the most intelligent men I know. He's so smart.
No, he's a great guy. He's very calming as well with his words, and he has got a lot of common sense as well. It's a pity that we didn't have more. And Jason, you know, Jason's audio as well, that let him down. He's normally very good.
I'm going to he needs to sort that out because, like I said, he's got a whole story that he could tell. And all right, there's some bits that he couldn't put in there, but he's got a whole story that he could tell that people really need to hear because it goes to show that Marius, it doesn't just work with understanding what it's like to be a victim, but also with pulling people away from a very extreme mentality view and proud to do so.
Yes, they are. Well, Tony, I mean, I don't know whether there's anything else that you want to cover here tonight.
No, not me. The only thing I want to cover is my ass with a duvet. Well, maybe a blanket. Well, maybe just a sheet, I think, actually, with a seat.
Well, let's cover this last one before we get off, and this will affect Mark. Mark's another one that would love to have got in on this stream. TikTok. Now, the Chinese, it's all kind of geopolitical here, isn't it? And you can see the Chinese are trying to outstretch through many countries with either the technological prowess or gaining minerals and intellectual property as well. So obviously there's certain countries now that are kicking back. It's not about war, it's about getting back business-wise and trying to stop the expansion of China. So a lot of people have misconstrued that it's probably Trump trying to do it to quell people, you know, try to stop him getting back in again. It's nothing to do with that. He's fundamentally doing this to stop the Chinese kind of taking the control of the platform, I guess.
Yeah. Oh, well, having complete control and especially manipulating the elections.
Yes. Yeah.
Let's face it, China would do in a heartbeat.
Well, yeah. I mean, look, they've been caught stealing all types of intellectual properties of everyone. Even when it comes to plant products and whatnot, they've been caught in the middle of fields, nicking seeds from other people's farms and things like that. So they're out well renowned for it. And then obviously you've got TikTok now that the people tend to think, well, because TikTok are a kind of Chinese company as such, that they're bound to then hand over any metadata to the Chinese. Now, you could understand that to be the case, and I can't see them arguing against the Chinese kind of government when they're in China. I mean, who does? So they can't really deny that that's not going to happen. As to say whether they had a choice of doing it or not, it's irrelevant, but they're still giving out vital information on American citizens and probably British citizens to the Chinese, which could be used against them, couldn't it, really?
Yeah, and I think that's why he's doing it. Look, there are some TikTokers that are really out there pram over the fact that you know there's talk of banning it. Hasn't been banned yet. I know because I'm on it, and I'm still getting lots of videos from Americans as well as everywhere else. What I would say is that most people on their road, especially the Americans, are like, I don't care. You want to ban it? Fine. I don't care. I'll just find another platform.
Yeah.
Depending on what they use it for. If they use it because I mean, there's a lot of they use the word clout on there, and I have a feeling it means lady garden area. I think. I'm not sure. You've disappeared off my screen again. Why can't I see you?
Because I've just
I hate that when I can't see your lovely big smiley face looking at me.
Getting dark, and I forgot to put the big light on, Tony. Never not put the big light on.
Have you got a big light? What is it? A fucking giant one?
No, it's actually the smallest light in here, but because it's up on the ceiling, it's known as the big light. Yeah, that's Peter Kay for you.
Use it there on there for like flirting with women or women with men. I think they might be a little bit up. What's a lady garden?
Not my
Use
word.
your imagination, Mr. Chief Adams.
I know. I thought he's red-pilled. Seriously, what's going on there? I'm sure you know more than you're letting on. I don't know.
Yeah,
Right.
I'm not describing my strawberry. I don't care. Not that there is any strawberry. I'm old. I'm very old.
Could be it's slightly. Hold on. I thought Great Brit was laid a bit. Look, everyone's backing off. Explain, Lady Gaga. Love you all, leaving the piss and haters. Just get out of Dodge. Jesus Christ. Tony, it's been a great stream as ever. Thank you for your time and your company, and also for setting up the A-team. We're going to have to get all these A-teamers out and stop making excuses and taking their wives out and doing all these important things. What's wrong with him?
Out, right? Just this bit where you've called them out and said, right, that's it with the A-team. We're not putting up with this shit no more, right? You could take this bit I'm doing, right? You ready? We're not putting up with the A-team hiding anymore. Enough is enough. There is no excuse. You will be getting on here, doing a live with Phil, with me, because if you ain't, trust me now, the Bugle's coming after you, right? So now, edit that bit down. Just send them that clip straight directly into the YouTube, into their WhatsApp.
Definitely. I could hold on. Who's this now? Who's this? Lisa Sammy. I could expect that line of conversation from her. What's that? Is that cryptic? Lisa's she's someone who's got into my ribs over the past couple of months. She seems to think I'm some kind of borderline racist or something. I don't know. I've offered her out for coffee and a muffin, and she seems to think
so she means me. I could expect that kind of thing from me. Well, listen, I'm working class, right? And if you can't cope with the word Lady Garden, I don't know what you'd say if I'd have referred to it as President Trump was accused of as a pussy. What can I say?
You can't please everyone. That's what you can say, Tony. You're never going to please everyone. But I've thoroughly enjoyed it, and it looks like everyone else on here has loved it as well. So how can people get in touch with you, Tony? The Bugle.
They can find me on Facebook. Don't bother with Twitter, because Twitter gave me a permanent suspension because I dared to call out David Icke. Okay. Wear that one out. But you can find me on Facebook. You could also email me at Maria's. If you go onto the Maria's, do you know, Mike? Can you tell I'm tired? Website.
Marias.org, is it?
Website, marias.org.uk. So people can email me through that, especially if you have been a survivor of rape. I don't care who the perpetrators were. If you're struggling, if you're falling apart, male or female, if it's support you need and just somebody to talk to, don't hesitate to contact them.
Indeed. And no doubt they'll be seeing and hearing more of Maria's moving forward as well, with the months coming up. And obviously we've got more to look forward to. Same again, same platform, different topics, different A-team. And I'm going to say my bit, A-team, I'm giving you enough rope to hang yourself here, guys. There's only so many times I'm going to put something in that chat. If I'm not getting anything back, I'll put my stream in another chat. So let's look at it that way, guys. Thanks a lot, Tony. You have a brilliant weekend. Enjoy what great weather we've got whilst we've still got it. And I hope to speak to you very soon as well.
I'm allergic to the sun. I'm not going out now. I don't like the heat. I'm going to sit in here and moan about it, because that's what we English do, and we do it well.
You go moan away and enjoy your weekend moaning.
I will, my darling.
You, Tony.
Take care.
See you now. Thanks a lot. You too. Bye-bye. Yes. Loving that. Lovely live stream with the Bugle. Yes. Thank you, Great Brit. Thank you again, mate. Listen, better late than never, dude. Better late than never. Thank you all for jumping on. New subscribers, old subscribers, people who are thinking of subscribing, or people are thinking of unsubscribing. Whatever you're doing, I love you all. I love you all. Thanks to Great Brit. Thanks to Kater. Thanks to Brett and all the usual suspects that have come out, took the time out on this beautiful evening. Lovely colour sky out there. So make sure you enjoy what bit of the evening we've got left, guys. It won't be long before I'll be back again with another post. So all I can say is, I love you all.
I love you. 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 I love you.
Even the pissing haters.
I love you. 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 I love you.